Alright, another video, unfortunately. Okay, To Be Serious has made a video, not very good. Alright, she's doing the same argument again, like, okay, she can't, well, look, they don't want to talk about antinatalism, okay, whatever. The most important question I think there is, okay, consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction. Is there anything more? Is life really functional? Is this paradigm of consumption and reproduction, maggots even with brains, okay, scheming brains we have to concede, desiring, want, and ignorance is all we really have. It is a Dickens story, basically. That's the enemy, and we don't seem to be able to grow out of it, because if you become intelligent, you're going to say, this is a stupid game. This game can only be played, I've said it, all right, it's tic-tac-toe. It's a child's game. Anything with a brain is not going to play this game, because they can see that it's more loss than anything worth paying for. It's just not worth paying for. Alright, you can only sucker an ignorant kid into buying this bullshit. Anyway, yeah, she wants some sort of middle ground. There's already the middle ground. The antinatalist argument has built into it an argument that says to people, well, this is what you need to consider before you reproduce. I mean, just keep in mind that this is an imposition, that, basically your desires, if you never had the desire mechanism, if you were never injected with the hunger, you do know that you won't want the stack of pancakes then. You do understand that, right? That the hunger for the pancakes exists inside of you. And once that's gone, the pancakes have no value. There's no thing in the universe saying, I want a stack of pancakes, and it can only satisfy that need through you. No, you don't need to exist. Your desire doesn't need to exist. And as long as your ego isn't out of control, you can kind of get that. And that's a huge responsibility. So yeah, so antinatalism is arguing that it's all fail. Now that argument can't do anything but help encourage people. How is it prohibitive to anything you want to accomplish except in the very end game? I mean, it's not like it's not like antinatalism happens tomorrow and that's all there is. I mean, it's going to take some time, and the whole road towards antinatalism is completely consistent with any other values you want to apply to that. Any reduction of suffering, any vegetarianism, reasonable birth control. All these things are on the antinatalist road. Alright, so you're the ones that I would ask the question, why are you being so fanatic? Why don't you just sit there and go this way? And if you want to part company later, then go ahead and jump ship later. But this boat is sailing in the right direction. Alright, you can sail with us, or you can sit there and keep thumbing your nose at us. That's your choice. We're not the one attacking you. You're the one attacking me. You're saying you don't even have an opinion on this whole birthy thing. Okay? So how are we in your way? Yeah, I don't get it. Except for the fact that, yeah, you don't like it because you don't like the end game. Well, too bad. It's the truth. I'm not going to argue the untruth. You're telling people they should argue some untruth? I should pretend the most important question in the world, in the universe, isn't the most important question? I should pretend? If you believed in antinatalism, if you believed life was a reckless, silly, insane experiment, you wouldn't say, oh, I think I'll just ignore that truth and worry about whether my shoes are shiny enough. I mean, duh. I mean, you really have to understand this. If you were a slave, you would know what the most important thing in the world was. Your fucking freedom. You would know it. And I know what the most important thing in the world is. And so I really don't need somebody telling me there's more important things to worry about. No, there really isn't. So anyway, as for your thought experiment, she takes Benatar's thought experiment. She doesn't answer it as it is. Of course, she changes it again. So she changes the negative suffering individual into John Merrick, and then talks about how great John Merrick's life was. So I'll ask you a simple question. I'll counter it with a simple thought experiment. Don't change the rules. All right? You have a button in front of you. It will initiate another planet exactly opposite the other side of the sun from ours. Everything will be exactly the same, except 7 billion humans will have John Merrick disease, elephant man disease. 7 billion of them. So they'll all live less than 30 years. 80% of them will choke on their own saliva, and probably 70% will probably try to utter the words before they die, "Kill me," as I've seen in video somebody in Haiti saying, "Kill me." So yeah, that's the reality. Alright, now are you going to press that button? If John Merrick's life is okay, if that's satisfactory, now are you going to press the button and initiate that planet? And if you're not, if you're saying no, well then you still haven't answered Benatar's thought experiment. You've just evaded it, like all of you people do. So bravo, another evasion. Alright, now on to Pyro. I won't play his whole video, I'm just going to do I'll just randomly pop into spots here. He doesn't say anything. He keeps saying he's answered all the questions. Well, I guess what I'm going to have to actually write the questions down and then just keep repeating them and demonstrating that you haven't answered them. I mean, when you answer the question, you're gambling with somebody else's money or welfare, and you answer that question with my skin cells reproduce. That's not an answer. It's not even close to an answer to the point, to the specific issue at hand, which is you're playing your little gambling games with someone else's welfare. Alright? Your babies are not your fucking skin cells molting. I've made this argument. I'm not going to keep making it. This is such a failed bullshit argument. I mean, you should be thoroughly humiliated for making an argument this stupid. Not to concede that a newborn human baby is a new consciousness, basically completely separate from you, except in the most irrelevant genetic way. If you're going to claim some sort of magnetism or spirituality that's involved in this material birth, then you're an idiot. But see, you are an idiot. I'm going to play the end of your video first, just so everybody can be clear how big an idiot you are.
And the goals you say you have, you are not acting consistently, and you don't use words the way you mean them. You are saying that I'm sadistic, and yet the elements of this are not sadism, they are negligence at worst.
No.
So,
I'll get to the better part. Here we go.
And I did have a nice thought, which is that if all of your fans get convinced not to reproduce, I will thank you for that, okay? If that's how that turns out on my deathbed, I promise I will thank you for that. Cheers.
Right, so on your deathbed, you're still going to be ignorant enough to think that antinatalism is a genetic component. You actually believe that all the antinatalists were given birth to from antinatalists. What I would argue to you is that if we took all the antinatalists and we kind of did their IQ test thing, I'm betting, okay, their scores are probably going to be on average substantially higher than your comment section. Than the little morons doing all your little yammering and complaining that you're picking on Gaia. So yeah, so you do need to basically wish that, though. It is a good deathbed wish that, yes, keep the human race stupid. Keep it retarded. Keep it under the delusion that they're doing something, they're constructing something, that they're on some kind of productive road. Keep them chasing the pink balloon. And the only way you're going to do that is by being ignorant. So bravo. You know, Dickens, you'd be a wonderful Dickens villain. Because yes, you're just a paradigm of exactly what's wrong with the world. Ignorance and want. That is your definition. That is, you know, Pyro is its name. Ignorance and want. So anyway, let's go to the beginning. But really, can you get any dumber? I mean, people keep making these arguments, like somehow antinatalists would breed antinatalists. Like Republicans breed Republicans, and Democrats breed Democrats. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid.
Okay, Gary, well, I spent a couple hours trying to find the tools and whatnot so that I could respond to your video with your video.
Oh, we really don't need to do this part. Yeah, I'll jump ahead. He really doesn't say anything in here. Like I say, he just keeps saying that we haven't. He has answered all the arguments. He hasn't answered any of them. Any thought experiment put to him, he just changes the rules. Somebody did it again in the comment section on this very video, and he just changes the rules again. I mean, he will never obey the rules. The fact is, Pyro, you're not going to be able to undo certain circumstances of this imposition. You're just not. Okay? And we know what the odds are. We know what the risk is. And you're going to just keep pretending because you got lucky that somehow it's a good game. And you're just going to endorse the lottery. You won the lottery, you're going to endorse the lottery. And you're just going to ignore the fact that millions of people, waste their welfare check on a lottery ticket. You just suck. You just absolutely suck.
Yeah, I started watching.
Okay, here we go. I'll just jump ahead to 1 minute here.
Should know that it's dangerous to put people in the world. But I am not your grandfather. You keep saying I'm responsible for putting two people in the world, and those are the only two people that I have to answer to on these issues.
All right, so nobody can ask you to do any kind of thinking outside of the standard box. So you're just going to ride on the fact that you were lucky, and you're just going to ignore the fact that this could have happened, or that could have happened, or that could have happened, and you're just going to pretend like, no, somehow Pyro had immunity to those things because he's got pyro magic. Not only pyro logic, but pyro magic. So I think that's just lame as fucking goddamn hell. That's just like a drunk driver saying, I got away with it, what's the big deal? I've driven drunk lots of times. It always works out okay for me. That's all you just did. You're not doing anything more than that. So what if one of your children eventually grows up and says, yeah, Dad, you're a stupid motherfucking cunt. What exactly are you thinking here? You thought your values would be imposed on me, that I would be stupid enough to think there's some point in pushing boulders up mountains and watching them roll down on shit? You thought I would fall for that? Yeah, fuck you. Now we jump ahead a little.
My position is professed, the stuff that you know about that you're responding to, that it shows that I have put my children in the world specifically to make them suffer. That's what sadism means.
Oh, I'm not going to explain this one to you, but okay, you're going to push it. I'll push back. Sadism means that you just enjoy watching other things suffer. Okay, so a sadist is somebody who goes to a dog fight. Now, you've said it. You said you even like to gamble, and you've said on Darwin's Hamsters video, I think you said something like, I like losing. That's what you said. That was your response to his fact that, this is a losing game, all right, in net gambling. And your response was, I enjoy losing. So you've already indicated this masochism thing. I remember back when the Amazing Atheist was doing all this talking about his sadomasochistic tendencies sexually and all that stuff. You seemed intensely interested. So yeah, it's all falling into place now. Yeah, I think you are a sadistic motherfucker. I think anybody who talks about life in terms of I enjoy gambling and losing. You've just said it in the end of your video. Oh, I hope your followers don't have kids. Well, we'll cut you slack on that one. But yeah, the whole way you just discount everything. And you change your story every 15 minutes, a different story. You show a little kitty, but then you'll justify eating meat. There's no consistency here except for the fact that you like risk, you like chaos. You said it. All right, that's the kind of game you like. You like a raw, dirty, stinking, smelly pig to fuck. And regular people like me, sensible, intelligent people like me. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Intelligent people say, why would I want to fuck a dirty, syphilis-ridden pig? That's insane. Why would I take that risk? So yeah, you're more than reckless. You are a sadist. Okay, because you discount the downside. You pretend it doesn't exist, and if it does exist, you find some rationalization. Oh, it's okay, the 3 pigs will take care of that problem. They promised. Well, the Green Giant did. Well, no, it was Goldilocks. Goldilocks promised me that in the future, all of that's going to be taken care of. Yeah, fuck you. So there. You happy?
Criminal negligence is a different thing, and the fact that you can't discriminate between those two, and yet you...
I don't need to discriminate between those two, but whatever. You want to play little word games, go ahead. Knock yourself out with your little word games. They really don't have any effect whatsoever on me. I didn't play a word game. You're playing a word game. I told you quite frankly, yeah, from my standards, you're sadistic. Okay, by my definition, you're evil. That's all there is to it. You're, in my opinion, you are a menace. You are Dr. Frankenstein. You're doing silly, sick, disgusting experiments, and you have this preposterous rationalization that says, I'm just peeling my skin. Fuck you. You're an idiot. And a menace.
Ever worthwhile, that's just your intuition. You work
I'm sorry, nobody's made that argument. Nobody said that everything sucks and nothing is any fun. What we have said is this is an addiction scenario. This is heroin, all right? And we will chase it, okay? And we will have a false sense of value, okay, because of the satisfaction that we gain from it, the relief of our pain and our suffering. Why do people get drunk, Pyro? Why do people, look at the medications people are on. Look at how they're chasing relief from their pain. So let's not pretend the pain doesn't exist. I mean, this is just bullshit. Fucking phone. Alright, well, I will be back. Getting hot in here. Anyway, where was I? Well, anyway, yeah, you haven't answered any of these issues, and like I said, the antinatalists are not griping that everything about life sucks, okay? There is this equation, though, that it is all made up. It's all a matter of perception, this idea of value, cupcakes and whatnot. And the only thing that's really real in terms of its value is the suffering. The rest of it is just kind of perceptual bullshit. Alright, and it's all dependent on this need that doesn't need to exist. Now see, that's another one of these statements you've just completely ignored. Alright, and there's no point answering with some kind of preposterous nonsense. Like I said, what's the point of saying you've answered at the point when you won't even concede that a newborn baby is a new consciousness? I mean, it's just silly. But yeah, how is any of our, explain how the universe is deprivated if human beings don't exist. Explain how the universe is deprivated if no crocodiles exist, if no life on Earth exists. Explain the deprivation. Explain who's crying. Explain the harm.
How many happy people are you saying that their happiness isn't worthy? You're so miserable, but you're not satisfied you going. You want to take happy people with you.
Oh, sorry. It's not about me going, and it's not about them going. It's about not creating. Again, you just keep missing the point. It's about not imposing your values on the circumstance. You're the one imposing. You're the one taking the aggressive action, and then you're talking like somebody else has somehow violated your rights. No, you're the one violating your right to impose your judgment on people like me. Alright? Fuck you and your imposition. Fuck you and your rickety roller coaster. Fuck you in your mandatory, you have to ride on the bus and you have to go to the fucking, carnival and you have to goddamn waste $10 there. I don't want to play your idiotic games. Play them on yourself. Play with yourself. Don't play with my consciousness. So either keep your victim dumb enough so it doesn't know it's being duped and sold a bill of goods, or else don't play your game. So you either fix it so an intelligent person can play it, or you keep the victim really, really, really dumb, okay, so they can fall for it. So they can have some kind of delusion of hope and think they're actually going to accomplish something. You know, the other thing you do, you people keep saying, oh, well, most people like that. No, we don't survey most people after they're dead, okay? We don't survey them the moment they die. So we don't get to include the last 10 years of their life when they had Alzheimer's. We don't get to include all the crap that happens to them in the end. So again, this point of surveying people when they're 17 years old seems really, 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 really superficial and stupid. I'll jump ahead a little. 5:16, I believe.
About what logical terms mean, as you know, about sadism, which is to say, perhaps you understand it perfectly well, but you're just not honest enough to use the words correctly.
Oh, whatever. Like I said, you want to get all wacky and crazy about the explicit definition of a word like sadism? What, the general definition is that you can somehow endure something else's suffering. We would call Nazis who kicked the Jews sadists. Okay, they didn't necessarily get orgasms doing it, but yeah, they sort of enjoyed their abusive use of power. So there's all kinds of definitions, and you goddamn know it. And I'm just throwing you in one of those definitions and saying, yes, you're completely inert to 3, 4, 5, 600 billion years of animals eating each other's skin off. That doesn't bother you any. So I sadist. Sorry. You'll even talk about how people should be natively hunting and shit. Sadist. Sorry. I don't. What else do I call that? All right. You'd call me a sadist if I stuck one knife in a rat's fucking head. One rat. But you'll justify the horrors that take place in nature and the horrors taking place for human recreation. I mean, fuck you, you sadist.
People, it's not even at conception anymore, just period. They're potential people that shouldn't be, so you think that's fine. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong and you're stupid.
Yeah, great argument. Let's see what he was talking about, just for curiosity's sake.
Objectively bad, because I think it's objectively good.
You think. So again, yeah, so you can impose your judgment. That's what the bottom line is here. You're saying you have a right. You think so. You can't prove so. You certainly haven't convinced me so, that this is a risk worth taking, that your little faggoty, frumpy little whatever pussy bullshit that gets you off has any kind of real value. Your little sing-song by the side of a brook or something, whatever the little poofter bullshit is that gets you off. Yeah, you're going to say that it's all worth it. John Merrick was worth it, that the Holocaust was worth it, that the Civil War was worth it. We go right on down through the whole lineage of mankind. It was all worth it. Well, fuck you. You're a fucking lunatic. You're a sadistic lunatic. So why should you be imposing judgment on anybody? Why should you be allowed to freely conduct your little Frankenstein experiments, and I can't even raise my hand and say, fuck you? No, I'm going to raise my hand and say, fuck you. You know what? Theoretically, I have a right, by your idiotic logic. If I think it, I should be able to act on it, right? So you think you can impose life. Why can't I impose death? Would you explain the difference between those things? You are imposing life that is unwanted, or potentially doing so. So if I potentially was imposing death that was unwanted, how exactly is there a difference? You want to explain that difference to me? They're both crimes, Pyro. Crimes of imposition, asshole.
And stuff, understand derived energy. You guys don't understand logic, and you're making this compelling logical argument.
Right, again, so this is the guy, right, he's talking about our premises and our logic, and this is the guy who thinks when you reproduce and create a new consciousness, you don't create a new consciousness, it's your skin molting. Yeah, you haven't dealt with any of these issues. You know, like I said, you respond to the idea that you're gambling with other people's money by saying you like losing. I don't exactly understand how that deals with the issue, that you're gambling with somebody else's welfare. How have you addressed that issue? Yeah, that's right, you haven't. So anyway, I won't play the end again, even though it's just, well, I'll play it again. It's just spectacularly stupid.
You were saying that I'm sadistic, and yet the elements of this are not sadism, they are negligence at worst.
No, like I said, I'm sorry. You're justifying all the pain and saying that somehow your kind of ambiguously defined gain is worth it. The satisfaction of your silly addiction. You want to go to the fun park and you don't care who you have to chain to a fucking rickety roller coaster to get there. And it's bullshit. You don't have a right to use somebody else to fulfill your mission. Use yourself. Play with yourself.
So, yeah, and I did have a nice thought, which is that if all of your fans get convinced not to reproduce, I will thank you for that, okay? That's how that turns out on my deathbed. I promise I will thank you for that.
Yeah, well, like again, very intelligent, you know. So that's what we're arguing with. We're arguing with people who think philosophy is genetically passed on. Interesting. Idiot.